everybody. Welcome back to round 48 of Inside the Clinch. Eric and Johnny back for a week of MMA action. Merry Christmas, guys. Happy holidays to all those who are celebrating. John, it's good to be back with you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy holidays, as you said. Happy Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever you're celebrating, we wish you and your families a happy holiday. How you doing today?
I'm good. We actually had a podcast planned last week, but unfortunately, I came down with COVID. Still kind of not 100%, so that's why we're doing audio only this week. But we do have a little bit of a special show for you guys today. We have our second annual MMA Awards, which Johnny and I are very happy to kick off.
Yeah, Eric and I didn't really plan this, so we're gonna go off script and basically go through 2021, give out some awards and all that good stuff. So, yeah, COVID is crazy right now. It's like 45,000 people are sick with COVID, and I know you're sick, and I know a lot of our listeners are probably gonna be sick. So, if you have the COVID right now, if you have that Omicron variant, wish you the best. Wish you a fast recovery. This one, doesn't look like it's hitting too hard. So if you have it, we wish you the best.
We're in this together, guys. We'll all get through it, and hopefully COVID will be hopefully gone in no time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So, John, we have about 5 awards this year. We have Fight of the Year, Knockout of the Year, Submission of the Year, Fighter of the Year, and Coach of the Year. So let's start off with Fight of the Year. There was a lot of great contenders. We have Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, Murab versus Mariah, Volkanovsky versus Ortega, Gaethje versus Chandler, Burgos versus Barboza, Peter Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. And like this list does not do this year justice because there were so many just phenomenal fights throughout this year. It's like every card was getting better than the last one, even though we thought how much better could it get. Some phenomenal fights we had this year.
Yeah, let's go off that list and basically let's say you say if you think that fight deserves the award or not, and why you think they do or don't, and then we'll go like that.
All right, yeah, let's do that. So Holloway versus Kattar, great fight, but in my opinion, it was too one-sided to be a fight of the year fight.
Yeah, that's what I have to say as well. It was definitely a good fight, but Holloway completely dominated the entire fight. You should have seen Calvin Kattar after the fight. So I mean, it was an entertaining fight. It was nice to see Holloway do his thing, but I wouldn't give it the fight of the year just because, as you said, it was so one-sided. It was definitely nice to watch, but I don't think it's a fight of the year contender. So let's cross that one out of the list.
Yeah, Holloway was even teaching Kattar how to box and hold his hands up during the fight, which is kind of funny too. You gotta love a classic Holloway fight.
I mean, yeah, we can't be having that in the fight of the year award. In the fight of the year award, both fighters have to be well versed, no teaching going on during the fight. So that one didn't pass all the tests. So we're gonna have to move on for that one.
So Murab versus Mariah, that on the other hand, that was a very back and forth fight. That was a jaw-dropping fight. I remember you and I were watching it together. We were jumping out of our seats for that. What was it, the first round? It was just insane. This was a great fight for sure.
Is it your fight of the year?
Not out of the rest of the ones on the list, but it's hard to cross this one off, and I can't really say what's bad about it. It's just that I guess some of the other ones were a little bit better.
I'm gonna cross it off my list because this fight, it started off with Murab not doing so well. Mariah was having his way in the first round, and then out of nowhere, Murab starts to turn it up, and I feel like the fight became kind of one-sided after the second round, with Murab picking it up and Mariah kind of slowing down. So I think it was an entertaining fight, but once again, just there are factors to it, and I don't think it was a great fight. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it's a fight of the year per se.
It was definitely a hell of a fight. But yeah, I don't know. We have some other great ones on the list. Like I said, it's hard to cross this one off, but next up, this is the so I kind of had a tie in my head, so I kind of got to I think talk it out loud to finally decide. But Volkanovsky versus Ortega, that was definitely one of the fights that I was strongly considering. That fight, that whole match, it was just insane. It was just when you thought Volkanovsky was having it in the bag, Ortega started to turn it up. He almost finished the champ more than once. Very back and forth fight. Obviously, once it went to decision, I think it was pretty convincing that Volkanovsky was the winner. But Ortega, man, what a warrior, what a legend, never giving up, and he was trying to win that fight till the very end.
Yeah, those submissions were sunken in. It looked like Volkanovsky was about to lose his belt, but he has such tremendous heart and he didn't give up. I mean, most people, I feel like 99% of the division, 99% of the UFC would probably have given up with a submission so like well in, you know, and that just says a lot about Volkanovsky and why he's a champion. But yeah, very entertaining fight. But when the fight ended, it was kind of clear to see that Volkanovsky was the winner, although Ortega did put up a great fight.
Is that your fight of the year?
No, that's not my fight of the year. It's up there. I would say maybe second or third place, probably third place. I'll put it. But definitely not my fight of the year.
So my fight of the year actually was I think Gaethje versus Chandler. That fight, man, it was literally like playing a video game. Those guys were hitting each other so hard, and they just kept coming back, and they just kept getting up, and it was like the only way that fight could have been better is if it was a 5 round fight, because like God knows what the hell would have happened to either of those men if it was a 5 round fight, because that shit was. It looked like they were walking through hell, man. It was insane what those two guys went through, and I think 2021. We're gonna talk through a couple more fights, but I think the Gaethje Chandler fight was my 2021 fight of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that fight as well. I feel like that's the general consensus. I know that a lot of different organizations had their awards already, and a lot of people are going with Chandler versus Gaethje because it was such a great fight. It was so close. Chandler, he's been in the UFC for like a year, maybe a year and a half, and he's putting on some ridiculous fights. Every single fight that he's in so far is just like a fight of the year contender. So a very back and forth fight, a lot of heart shown from both guys. Uh, Not a great way to fight if you want to have a long career. I'm gonna say that, but nevertheless, it was a phenomenal fight and definitely my 2021 fight of the year.
So I think we're in consensus, but let's just talk through the two other fights we had on the list, John. Shane Burgos versus Edson Barboza. That was another great match. We have Edson Barboza, from Brazil, one of the most high-level technical strikers that have probably ever stepped foot in the octagon. And we have
Shane
Shane.
Shane Burgos from Tiger Showman's
Yes, sir. Shane Burgos from
MMA.
Tiger Showman's. And I gotta
Shout
say,
out
I was very, very, very impressed with not only
the
did
fifth
Shane Burgos
Hermes.
staying there, I mean, just that fight, it was just phenomenal. Just the high level striking. Neither man was giving up. Neither one, they were both in there to win it. It was a great
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, so a lot of people, I think you might be included in this list. A lot of people are discrediting Tiger Showman MMA, and the reason they're discrediting is because it's in the past it's been like a joke type of like karate place to train, But I feel like they kind of switched it up a little bit, that whole organization. I feel like it's not the same as it used to be. They have some like pretty decent fighters. They have Shane Burgos. They have Good. I forget his first name, but
Lehman good.
Lehman Good, yeah. He's pretty decent. I mean, these guys are not the best fighters in the world, but when you like back in the day, if you said that they're from Tiger Showman's karate or whatever, people would be like, "Oh, what a joke." But I feel like it's a different narrative now with Tiger Showman. So it was a great fight with Burgos and Barboza. Barboza was able to get it done late. It was pretty back and forth, but I feel like with the finish in the third round, kind of takes it away from fight of the year in a sense. And plus, the Gaethje versus Chandler fight was so good. It's kind of hard to compete with that. So, but great fight nevertheless.
So the last one on the list that we had for this category, Peter Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. Another just high level IQ MMA fight. If you guys want to see what high level MMA looks like, what 2021 evolved MMA looks like, I think this is definitely one of those fights you got to watch. High level striking, high level grappling. It was a great fight from start to finish.
And the crazy thing about this fight is that Sandhagen pulls up to this fight on a short notice, right?
Yes.
To replace Aljamain Sterling and puts up a fight that Aljamain Sterling could only wish he could put up. I know that he beat Sandhagen, but we all know that was kind of a fluke. That's a different conversation for another day. But yeah, as you said, crazy, beautiful fight. And I would probably have to put this fight for second place just because like I appreciate how good the mixed martial arts is in that fight. And Piotr Jan, he just makes it so beautiful and he's just so flawless. And the way he's able to pick up his performance as the fight progresses is just absolutely ridiculous how he's able to like tactically do that. So definitely my runner up for fight of the year. Peter Yan is just and Corey Sandhagen, two phenomenal fighters, two of the best in the division. in my opinion.
Yeah, like you said, Peter Yan, he's a tactician. He literally, it's like watching art when you're watching Peter Yan in there. The guy is just the level of MMA IQ is just levels above almost everyone else in the UFC. There's very few fighters that have that level of IQ, and it's just simply beautiful to watch when when you watch it go down.
Is there a date set for the Sterling Yan rematch yet, or is Sterling still talking shit for no reason?
Sterling's still talking shit for no reason. He was on Ariel's a couple of weeks ago, and Ariel asked him again, like, "Hey, can you fight yet?" And he didn't really say no, but he didn't really say yes either. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. Like,
What did he have? Yeah, like he's going through he went through some surgery
so I think there's
on this.
some complications in his neck or in his spine, something going on in his neck. I think so. They didn't want to rush him back into practice or something. God knows. Who knows what Aljo's saying now?
I mean, yeah, but he's talking a big game, how he's gonna make it different the second time. And we have a group chat with me, you, and my brother. And earlier today, I said something along the lines of like, does he think that we didn't watch the fight? Because the whole world saw what happened in the first few rounds of the fight and before that illegal strike. So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's watching. If he's trying to convince himself that he's did a better job than he did, but it's insane. If he actually believes this, it's crazy.
Anyway, let's move on to the next category. Let's not waste any more time on clown Jermaine Sterling. So next category, we have a knockout of the year. We had, so many great possible knockouts we can put on this list that we had this year, but for the sake of for the sake of time, let's just wrap it down to what do we have, about 5 or 6 people here. First one on the list, we have Corey Sandhagen knocking out Frankie Edgar. That was that beautiful flying knee at the beginning of the year. The second one is Zhang Wei Li versus Rose. Rose got the knockout, the very shocking knockout in the first round.
This is their first fight, and then Rose
Yep.
has the victory a second time. So Rose had 2 fights in 2021, and this was her first fight, which was that head kick knockout.
Yep. And then next up, we had Kamaru Usman knocking out Jorge Masvidal in their rematch. A knockout, I think everyone saw that one went pretty viral. Next up, we had Yuri Prohaska knocking out Dominic Reyes. Manel Kopp knocking out Odie Osborne, and Emily Ducote knocking out Taylor. Look, the Sandhagen knockout, the Usman knockout, and the Yuri Prohaska one, I think those are the top 3 on my list. But
I kind of grouped the Sandhagen knockout with the Manel Kopp knockout because they're very similar, both flying knees. I think that Sandhagen's was a little nicer, so I kind of, just because of that, it kind of eliminates both of them from it because they're something so similar to one another. I thought personally Sandhagen's was nicer.
Yeah, I agree. His was a little cleaner, and it was a little sneakier. I believe that's what made it better. I think it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and also Sandhagen's movement is just so unorthodox, and as you said, it just came out of nowhere. Looked more crisp coming from Sandhagen. He's so crisp on his feet. So beautiful knockout. Yeah.
So between the two, I guess I would have left that. You can say if you disagree. I think it's Usman and Yuri Prohaska. Now, Usman, although that was a crazy knockout, it was a lot of power, and it was a devastating knockout. It was really just an overhand right. I feel like Yuri Prohaska, that technique, it was just so beautiful, and he hit Reyes with so many elbows previously, and this one just literally put the lights out on him. And I think this is just one of my favorite knockouts.
I think if there was an award for like a surprising knockout, then Usman would have been in this category because it was a nice knockout, but it's not like the nicest knockout. It was just very surprising to see Usman get such a knockout over a striker in Jorge Masvidal. So
Agreed.
that kind of takes him out of the list. Yuri Prochazka, I would have to say that's my winner for the 2021 knockout of the year. Beautiful. He sets it up with the punch, and then he goes in with the spinning back fist.
Spinning back elbow.
Excuse me. Takes out a highly ranked Dominic Reyes, who was on a tear for a very long time, was undefeated for a very long time until the losses to Jan Blachowicz and then Yuri Prochazka. A lot of people think that he won the fight with John Jones. So coming off that and the way that Prochazka basically dismantled him, beautifully timed shot, he deserves my knockout of the year.
Have not heard from Dominic Reyes ever since that knockout. Unfortunately, I hope he's all right. But, that fucking knockout, man.
He needs some time to recover, man. That thing was devastating, and he's going through a hard time in his career, something he's never really faced before. Just
Back-to-back losses.
back to back devastating losses, getting knocked the fuck out. After like being hyped up for beating John Jones by the mainstream media. I mean, he kind of did, but he's having so much good coming his way, and then just like out of nowhere it goes downstream. So it kind of sucks for him. But Yuri Prochazka, congratulations on the Inside the Clinch 2021 knockout of the year.
Let's go, Yuri. I can't wait to see that guy back in action, bro. He's such a savage. The way he trains, like the shit he posts on Instagram, is just like, I get the chills listening to this guy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it should be, if everything goes according to plan, it should be a great year for Yuri Prochazka. I could see him fighting for the title very soon. So our next category is Submission of the Year. So let's start off with this list that we have over here. We have Andrea Lee submitting Antonina Cepchenko. That was it was like a triangle coming into an armbar. Beautiful submission. What did you think about it?
That was a nice one. A lot of people, once they get into the triangle, they kind of just hold it there. Not too many people go into the armbar from there. And it's risky because you can lose the leverage you have on the neck once you're going in for the armbar. But even if you look at the pictures, it was just the legs were locked in. That figure four was locked in, so the neck was going nowhere. And she used the leverage right on her hips and got the submission. It was beautiful technique, very well done.
Yeah, it took her some time to get the submission, but you could see how she's progressing to it as the seconds are ticking by. But it was definitely a beautiful submission. But this category is filled with so many nice submissions in 2021, so it's kind of hard to give it to Andrea Lee. But definitely a very nice submission on her part. So my 2021 submission of the year would have to go to Pat Sabatini submitting Emmers. If you remember this fight, they were both kind of had the leg lock, and out of nowhere, Sabatini cranks it, and you kind of could hear. I mean, you can't really hear the pop, but you could see the leg go in a different direction than it's supposed to. So, what did you think? Is this your submission of the year, or do you have somebody else for it?
I think it was tied with the Paul Craig submission that we're going to get into in a second. But yeah, I think this Pat Sabatini, when he got that leg lock submission, it was just the way he locked it in. Like Emmers was trying to get out, he just could not get his leg out of there. He tried to, he was trying to get his leg lock of his own. Yeah.
So it's so crazy how he got that in.
Yeah, and I think it was close to the bell too, if I'm not mistaken. And they were rolling side to side, and eventually he just locked that ankle up. And you and I did judo. Leg locks are not legal in judo, so we only got to deal with chokes and arm locks. So I'm kind of glad that we never got our knees and ankles just like ripped off in practice every day, because I'm sure our legs would feel a lot different today, man.
Yeah, I know a lot of people say that they don't really practice leg locks in training because of how dangerous it is. Because if you secure a leg lock, you could potentially have a bigger chance of injuring your opponent. So a lot of people don't even train leg locks, and that's why it's not so like prevalent in the UFC. It's not really besides for recent times, leg locks haven't really been common in the UFC. I'm not really sure why that is, but that's just a general fact.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's because the risk is so high that you don't drill it in the gym, so it's hard to apply it, in reality. So I think that you got it on the nose there.
Yeah, but you mentioned Paul Craig versus our boy. I'm gonna call him Jamahal Hill because that's how we introduced him on our podcast. I know his name is Jamal Hill, but Paul Craig with versus Jamahal Hill. Beautiful submission. I'll probably have to put that one as my second favorite of the year. But very well done for Paul Craig.
So as I've said probably more than once on this podcast, I was in the building for that submission, and holy shit, I still get chills thinking about just the sound of his forearm just cracking. Honestly, though, the only reason I'm not giving the submission of the year is I don't know if it's necessarily a submission. I feel like he just had a strong lock on the arm, and he just literally snapped the arm. I feel like if it was like a Kimura or like some kind of actual like attempted submission where Jamal Hill didn't have a chance to tap, I feel like that would have been different. I would have given it to sub of the year, but I think Pat Sabatini wins. Yeah, it was just the way he locked up his hand and didn't let him go, and
so fast.
Like I said last time, just the Jamal Hill, poor guy, couldn't even tap with that hand that snapped, and he's just getting his ass beat from the bottom, and it was hard to fucking watch that fucking referee, man.
And I believe that this might have been Jamal Hill's first loss. Prospect in Jamal Hill, he's still doing very well. That was just his one lone loss. Came back after that fight, still looking amazing as right now. But Paul Craig, beautiful submission. As I said, probably would give him the second place for submission of the year in 2021. But
I agree.
yeah, beautiful work on his part. Two other two other fights that we had as contestants was Vicente Luque submitting Michael Chiesa. This was kind of on the list because it was kind of unpredicted because
Yes.
Michael Chiesa is known as the submission specialist, and Vicente Luque, how he was able to submit him so easily, was very surprising, and I feel like that's why he's on a lot of people's submission of the year list.
Yeah, so in that fight, I feel like a lot of people expected Vicente Luque to be like, the powerhouse, the striker, and Michael Chiesa, they expected him to be the grappling and jiu-jitsu guy. But Vicente Luque, he dominated in both areas, and he made Chiesa look like he's just a jiu-jitsu scrub, and that's very, very much not the case. Chiesa has very high-level jiu-jitsu, but Vicente Luque, he wore him down and then took him down to deep waters and tapped him out with a rear naked choke. It was a very great display of technique, and definitely deserve to be on the list.
Yeah, and a similar story with the next fight with Andre Muniz submitting Souza. Souza, a former world champion, Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. So seeing Andre Muniz getting that submission in, it was beautiful technique. But seeing him get it against an opponent like that just makes it so much better. So definitely worthy of being on the list as well. And plus, beautiful submission on his end.
Yeah, another one of those unorthodox techniques, something we don't see every day, which is always intriguing because it's like, even though I feel like we're still closer to the birth of MMA than like its peak, we're still seeing the sport evolve so much, even so late, like even after like 20 years, 25, 30 years, however long you want to call MMA has been around, but just very unique technique. And like you said, against Souza, a high-level jiu-jitsu specialist, was very impressive to see. So next up, we have Fighter of the Year. And John, now that I'm looking at some of the names we have on, I kind of wish we broke it out into Fighter of the Year and Prospect of the Year. But let's go through some of the names. So we have Tom Aspinall, Kamaru Usman, Rose Namajunas, Brandon Moreno, Cyril Gane, Glover Teixeira, Charles Oliveira, and Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, let's go down this list as we did with the first category. I feel like it's going to be the easiest way to go about this award.
So Tom Aspinall is the first one on the list. I feel like he would be Breakthrough Fighter of the Year if we had a separate category for that. The guy had 2 fights this year, I believe 2 finishes. Very, very bright prospect coming out of the UK. Very nice kid, very well-mannered, and seems very respectful. I want to see this guy more active in 2022. Very intrigued to see what he has in store because the guy just seems very high level, and he's very young for what is he? He's a heavyweight, right? Not light heavyweight. Yeah, I think he's a heavyweight. So he's relatively young for the division.
He's a heavyweight.
The lack of experience might be a thing when he fights some of the high 28. Look, the heavyweights are all like in their mid to late 30s. You know what I mean? So he has that age advantage. I think the guy has a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, we spoke about this on previous podcasts. He's a British fighter, and fighters coming from that region have like an arrogant type of personality for the most part, like you see with Michael Bisping, with Paddy Pimblett. This kid is so nice, very well spoken, very respectful, and had a great 2021, defeating Andrea Arlovsky via submission. That was a rear naked choke. That was in February of 2021, and also defeating Sergey Spivak via TKO on September 4th, 2021. So great year for him. I wouldn't say Fighter of the Year because just the competition level that he's facing is not up there. But we should have divided this into Prospect and Fighter of the Year, and he would have definitely been considered for Prospect of the Year, but giving him Fighter of the Year kind of doesn't make sense with some of the other contestants that we have.
Yeah, I agree. So why don't we add in one more category? Let's throw him in there, give him one of our awards. We did have Breakthrough Fighter last year. I think he definitely deserves to be on that list. So also on the list, we had Kamaru Usman, 3-0 in 2021. He got a knockout win over Gilbert Burns in the 3rd round. He got a 2nd round knockout win over George Masvidal and a unanimous decision win against Colby Covington. Look, 3 3 wins against 3 high-level opponents, defended your belt 3 times. I think that's pretty high on the list for who could win this award. I mean, it's hard to top that. 3 title defenses in 1 year is hard. You know, getting 3 or 4 fights on a regular, if you're not the champion, that's hard enough on a regular year. But to do it as champion, you know, usually the champions fight less frequently. But Usman, you know, he's been. My only criticism is too many rematches, but like at the same time, he's cleaned out a lot of the division. But I'd like to see Usman fight new blood in 2022, but he's had a spectacular 2021.
Yeah, I mean, as you kind of hit it all. He defeated Gilbert Burns. That was a TKO finish, domination. Jorge Masvidal, unexpected knockout, and then Colby Covington, another entertaining fight. Very dominant in the early parts of the fight, but Colby Covington was able to pick it up later in the fight. But if you look at the fighters on the UFC roster, I would have to give it to Kamaru Usman. He just, with the level of competition that he's facing and the way that he's defeating these people, kind of just makes sense that he is the 2021 fighter of the year.
So I'm not sure if I completely agree. So let's get through the list and I'll get to who I believe is my fighter of the year, and I'll tell you why. But next up on the list, we had Rose Namajunas. She went 2-0 this year, also 2 title defenses, both against Zhang Wei Li. She got in the first fight, she got a knockout win, 1 minute and 18 seconds in the first round in April. And then the rematch in November, she got a split decision win. So look, Zhang Wei Li, she's, I think, the best in the division outside the champion, Rose Namajunas. I don't think there's a question about that. But my only criticism is you kind of fought the same person 2 times and you didn't do it better than the first time. Obviously, her first time was very hard to beat. It was just a beautiful knockout, perfect timing. So I don't want it to sound like I'm, you know, saying anything bad about Rose Namajunas, because I'm absolutely not. She had a great 2021 as well. But I don't think that she would win Fighter of the Year.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, she did have 2 good fights, 2 fights over Zhang Weili, who was probably the second best in the division. But as you said, it's the same person, so it kind of eliminates her from that category. Not really her fault. Just made sense for her to fight Zhang Weili twice in 2021. But yeah, if you're comparing it to someone like Kamaru Usman or other people that we're going to mention, it's kind of hard to give her the award.
Yeah, and so next up is Brandon Moreno. For a similar reason, I would not give him the award, but he defeated Davidson Figueiredo. Their first fight was the end of 2020, which ended in a majority draw. In the rematch at UFC 263, Moreno submitted Figueiredo in the 3rd round. I think, you know, just the upset that this caused, and a lot of people counting Brandon Moreno out, and just seeing how Brandon Moreno started and where he is now. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's, you know, a great example of hard work pays off. But there was only 1 fight, and it was a rematch as well. Like we said, he did do it much better than the first time, but I think there are another fighter or 2 that would come up on the list before him this year.
Yeah, similar in case is Glover Teixeira. Also had a good 2021, but also only 1 fight, defeating Jan Blachowicz. So kind of takes him out of the picture as well. But we also had Cyril Gane, another fighter that I would kind of put him as a runner-up. Had 3 fights in 2021, defeating Jairzinho Rosenstrike via decision, defeating Alexander Volkov via decision, and TKOing Derek Lewis in the 3rd round in August. So a great 2021 for Cyril Gane. What did you think of his overall year?
Look, the guy is climbing up the rankings. He's looking good. He's looking very professional. You know, he's not just one of those brawlers that's looking in there for just for a knockout, like we've seen many heavyweights in the past. He picks his shots. He moves very, very light on his feet for someone in his weight class. I don't know. He had a great year, great competition. But to be honest, I wasn't as wowed by any of his performances as I was by some of the other fighters this year. So that's the only reason I would not put him on the top of my list.
Okay, so we have Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev remaining on the list. So of those 2, who is your fighter of the year?
All right, so Islam Makhachev was 3-0 this year. He had 3 submission wins in the 3rd round, in the 4th round, and the 1st round against Drew Dober, Thiago Moises, and Dan Hooker. Honestly, I feel like this would be another name that we should have broken out on the breakthrough fight of the year. And not that Islam is new to the UFC, but I feel like he's broken through like to the mainstream media, the mainstream fighters. Like people know who he is now. So I feel like
time.
he, like you said, the level of competition isn't the same. Although he fought all these killers, Dober, Moises, Hooker, all killers. But it's not the same as championship level contenders.
Yeah, he dominated them. It's worth saying.
He did know it was absolute all one-sided fights. I think next year we'll be having a different conversation because he's going to be fighting higher level competition. I'm assuming it's still going to be in just as dominant of a fashion. So he's very welcome.
Smash this guy. He's going to smash this guy.
So I guess, do we agree that he can be put over in breakthrough fighter of the year with Aspinall?
Breakthrough fighter of the year. I mean,
because he kind of broke through to a new level, in my opinion, this year.
I would say, I would kind of put him ahead of Aspinall just because of the level of competition is I feel like is a little bit better than Tom Aspinall's. And the way he's defeating them is also very impressive with 3 submissions in 2021 over highly ranked guys. Thiago Moises, like people don't give him credit, but he's really good. Hooker, not really a grappler, but still, has a big name. Although I don't really agree with it, but I would have to give it to, if we had the category, I would probably have to give it to Islam Makhachev.
So the last one on the list, who is my fighter of the year, Charles Oliveira. He went 2-0 in 2021. He defeated Michael Chandler via TKO and Dustin Poirier via submission. This guy has just been on a great trajectory upward. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing, similar to what we said about Moreno. He came from a bumpy start at the beginning of his UFC career, but the guy's turned it around. He's looking phenomenal. Everyone keeps counting him out, and he keeps shocking the world fight after fight. In my opinion, that makes a fighter of the year. I know that Usman had one more title defense, but like I said, those were rematches. And, Michael Chandler's a top-level dog, and Dustin Poirier was who everyone thought the real undisputed champion was, and they weren't giving Oliveira credit for it. So, in my opinion, he had a phenomenal year. He shut up all the haters, and I believe that Charles Oliveira deserves to be fighter of the year in 2021.
I mean, I have to disagree with that because although he did have 2 good fights, but both Michael Chandler, first of all, Michael Chandler wasn't really ranked in the UFC. He just comes from Bellator with a name, has the Dana White privilege, fights for the belt.
You can't just look at the ranking. He's a high-level fighter, and there was a lot of adversity in that fight. And
there's a lot of adversity in the fight. He almost got knocked out in that fight. And similar to Dustin Poirier, to that fight, in the Dustin Poirier fight, he also almost gets knocked out in the beginning section of the fight. I mean, he does overcome it. Definitely. I mean, I'm not arguing with you. It was a fucking awesome year for Charles Oliveira, proving the haters wrong. But I just think that the level of competition with Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal, and the only rematch there was the Colby Covington rematch.
And Usman and Masvidal, I mean.
So yeah, you're right. 2 rematches for Kamaru Usman. I mean, that does, you know how much I hate rematches, so that does play a factor.
Look, he did better with Masvidal, but I would say not better with Covington. I feel like it was a closer. It was kind of a closer fight.
He did better. I think he did a little bit better. No, Colby Covington came alive later in the fight. In the beginning, He started off weird, and I was like, "Yo, what's wrong with Colby Covington?" But then he comes alive later in the fight. So, fuck it, Let's go. It's
with a hard one.
Let's go with DuBronx. 2 rematches. Get the hell out of here, bro. Yeah, DuBronx sound like a very.
If it wasn't for the rematches, I would have to go with Usman because 3 title defenses again against championship level competition. It says a lot.
And also Jorge Masvidal, journeyman. You know what I'm saying? Journeyman. Colby Covington, great, but he's the second best in division. And
if you want to be complete assholes, we can say Gilbert Burns is a former lightweight. Also, Masvidal is a former lightweight. But let's not go there.
Gilbert Burns lost to Paul Felder. So Gilbert Burns lost to a lot of people. So I mean, yeah, listen, you're right. We are adults, and we could come up with a conclusion. I would have to change my opinion and go with DuBronx.
DuBronx,
yeah, 2 fights, but two big wins for him. Michael Chandler. I mean, Michael Chandler is Michael Chandler, but Dustin Poirier and the way he defeated.
I'm surprised your attitude has changed. You were a big fan of Michael Chandler literally a year ago. I remember.
No, I'm not saying that I'm not a big fan of Michael Chandler. I think I like Michael Chandler a lot, but the thing is that he's not really a ranked UFC fighter. Like, he didn't deserve to be a ranked UFC fighter. It's like, you hate this when people come from different organizations and become ranked all of a sudden.
Yeah,
So
but I
that's
think
what
it's more than ranked. This category is more than
and he
ranked.
was losing to people in Bellator too. It's not like he was winning every fight in Bellator. So he lost fucking Pitbull in Bellator. He lost to a bunch of people in Bellator. So he was not even the best in Bellator. And he comes to UFC, pulls up, and has a phenomenal fights. What does that say about Bellator? I think a lot.
All right, so quick on this. So we have two on Breakthrough Fight of the Year. We have Tom Aspinall and Islam Makhachev. What do we want to give that award to?
Smash, brother.
Islam? It's Islam time, brother.
Sometime, brother.
All right, guys. We have one last category. This one I feel is going to be a little bit difficult to debate, but I have some ideas. So, Coach of the Year.
It's two people. It's Khabib Nurmagomedov versus your boy Trevor Whitman, right?
You can't leave Eugene Behrman out either. He has two champions right now.
Who are they?
Adesanya and Volkanovsky.
Adesanya.
Adesanya.
Adesanya lost to Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah, but it's not his weight class.
Adesanya and who's the other one? You said
Volkanovsky.
Volkanovsky almost lost to Ortega.
Okay, so I guess we're talking between Khabib and Trevor Whitman.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Khabib is pretty much coaching all of his cousins, all of his 1,000 cousins that are coming and fighting all around the world. They all look great. Umar, Usman. The
thing is that he's not really their coach. You know, he's like,
no, he is their coach.
Bro. He's they're not. He's not their coach. Like, he's a former fighter. Like,
Yeah, but if you pay attention, it's not just like bullshit corner work. Like, he's the cheat code in the corner. He's, he sees something, he tells you, correct your position, move your hips there, attempt this here. Like,
but he's not I don't think he's an official coach, is he?
I mean, he's in the corners for the Bellator fights, for MMA fights. What is it exactly?
And if you give it to him, how are you not going to give it to Javier?
So I think I could be wrong. My impression is like Khabib trains and coaches. He's like more of a main coach for the Dagestani guys, like more of a head coach. I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
And Javier is also in the corner.
For all the fights except for the Eagle FC fights.
So if you want to give it to, you kind of have to group Khabib with Javier.
Okay, so it's a tie between, I guess, them and Trevor Whitman.
I think it's Trevor. I think it has to be Trevor Whitman.
I would have to agree. He has a lot more champions.
He has Rosenama Eunice. He has Kamaru Usman. Who else am I forgetting? Gaethje, not a champion, but great 2021 for him.
Who else? He has a lot of killers in that gym. Let's look it up real quick.
I know that he used to train Stipe. Notable fighters trained. So these are the notable fighters that trained under Trevor Whitman. It doesn't have a award. It doesn't have the year that he trained them, but Kamaru Usman, Rosenama Eunice, Stipe Miocic. I don't know when that was. Who was TJ Dillashaw is on the list. Donald Cerrone, Neil Magny, George St. Pierre. I guess that's mostly for us a hobby.
Look, at the end of the day, I think he has the most champions in the highest level organization. And even outside the champions, he coaches a lot of the top contenders. So I don't know. I feel like if Javier and Khabib, if they had a couple more belts, if DC and Khabib and Rockhold were still holding the belts over there, I feel like it would be a different conversation. But AKA doesn't have any belts at the moment, so you can't say too much.
Yeah, I feel like that's a temporary thing. They're about to pull up. They're about to pull up on the UFC, brother. They're gonna smash these guys.
They're gonna smash. So congratulations, Trevor Whitman, Coach of the Year.
I fucking get it.
All right, so let's do a quick recap of the awards for Fight of the Year. It's Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. For Knockout of the Year, we have Yuri Prohaska knocking out Dominic Reyes with a spinning back elbow. For Submission of the Year, we have Pat Sabatini submitting Jamal Emmers. For Fighter of the Year, we have Du Bronx Charles Oliveira. Breakthrough Fighter of the Year, we have Islam Makhachev. And Coach of the Year, we have Trevor Whitman. So congrats to the 2021 MMA award winners.
Yeah, congratulations to them. As our coach, shout out Arkady used to say, clap your hand, everybody. Great job. Great 2021, man. It's kind of hard to see whether 2022 is going to top such a great year, but an amazing 2021, and it's exciting time for MMA and the UFC altogether.
Yeah, this was very difficult this year to put some of these lists together because, like we said, not to sound redundant, but there were so many great fights, so many great knockouts, so many great submissions. So just so much great action. And like I said earlier, we just got one phenomenal card after the next. And just when we thought like this card couldn't be topped, the next week was even better. And that was the theme throughout the year for most of this year, in my opinion.
Up your hand, everybody. Exciting. Well, yeah, man. Happy holidays to all our listeners. Thank you for checking in to another round of Inside the Clinch. Happy New Year's to you guys. It's been a beautiful, beautiful year. And I'd like to thank all our listeners for tuning in each week, for following us, and for showing us love. So much love to you and your families.
Happy holidays, guys, once again. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Leave us a rating on a platform that you listen to us on. For any email inquiries, email info@InsideTheClinch. On Instagram, we are Inside the Clinch MMA. On Twitter, we are ITC MMA Podcast. And on Facebook and YouTube, we are Inside the Clinch MMA Podcast.
Yeah, and just one more thing. Spotify has a new feature where you could now give a rating to your favorite podcast. So make sure you do that on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts as well. They've been having that. So those two platforms are one of the biggest platforms for podcasting. So if you could do that, that would be great. Share, comment, subscribe. Do all that good stuff because it helps us grow. And thank you so much once again, guys.
Catch you next week.